the star of the show, the man who is the next congressman from the 8th District of the state of Maryland, Timmerman.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you turning out on a hot summer evening when you might prefer to be someplace else. Look, this is an insurrection. We're going to win the seat because all of you are committed, because we're getting people on the ground who are committed, and we're going to do this from Montgomery County to Carroll County and Frederick County. I want to talk to you a little bit about the district, because I've been spending much of the past 4 months learning these areas up here. You know, I'm from Kensington, so we understand, we know a little bit of the southern part of the district. But I've been having a wonderful time in Carroll County and in Frederick County, and driving around, getting to meet people, going to county fairs, going into people's homes, going to restaurants, and just meeting not just Republicans, but Democrats who are coming up to me, owners of small businesses, and saying, just unbidden, without any solicitation whatsoever, I'm a Democrat and I'm fed up with what they're doing to us in this state. I'm going to vote for you in November. And that has happened to me again and again and again. That's why I know that we have a real shot to win this seat. There are so many Democrats that come up to me. I think some of you know a bit about my background. I am an investigative reporter by trade and author. I've spent the past 30 years in the Middle East, going back and forth to countries like Iraq, Syria, Libya, Israel, many times. A lot of those countries that you read about on the front pages of the newspapers. One thing it's taught me is that we live in the greatest country in the world. And even in countries where you think when you read the newspapers that people hate us, they're still lining up to get visas to come in. And they still want to come to this country, and they want to become Americans. The past 3.5 years, I spent a lot of time in northern Iraq, working with persecuted Christians, people in many cases who sacrificed their lives to help the United States of America as interpreters and go out with our special forces on missions to take down jihadi networks. After several years of working undercover with their faces in the balaclava, they were ordered in 2007 2008 by the politically corrected Pentagon at that point to take off the balaclavas, to take off the dark smudges and the rest, and to appear in open faces. Many of them refused to do so. Those that did not, that started to go out with their faces uncovered, were targeted by the jihadis. Their names appeared on the local mosques. Their families were murdered and kidnapped and raped. Their houses were firebombed, and we did nothing to help them. So I went many times to Iraq to try to help them, to help them either get their visas, to help tell their stories back here in the United States. And I think it's tremendously important that we have people, as Everett's colleagues in his comrades in the military in Vietnam do. We have people in Vietnam who support us and who came to this country afterwards. We need to help those people around the world who understand the fire of liberty that we have in this country and help us. We have to help them to come here when they are when their freedom is being taken away. This election, as you know, is going to be about the economy. It's going to be about jobs. It's going to be about national debt. When I go around to these fairs in Montgomery County, we like to show this little flyer which you've got around here in the back. It took us about 3 weeks, really, to noodle this. I mean, it's hard to believe that a little thing like this could take so long. It was death by committee, I got to tell you. But we finally came up with this notion of Chris Van Hollen on a cigarette pack. And it reads underneath at the bottom, it says, Surgeon General's warning, re-electing Chris Van Hollen may be hazardous to your children's health. And up above it has the price tag, which is $5 trillion. So I hand this out, it's a conversation piece. I hand this out, here's a map of our new district, and oh, by the way, I call him the $5 trillion man, because that's how much of your children and your grandchildren's money he's spent the past 3.5 years with nothing to show for it. With nothing to show for it. The Democrats look at the unemployment rate of 8.2% and say, wow, that's great, only 8.2%. I look at that and I say, that's a disgrace. It's un-American. This is not a country where we've had chronic 8.2% unemployment. As you all know, the real rate is more close to 15% when you include the people who dropped out of the labor force or the people who are working part-time instead of full-time. This is not the way this country has been organized. It's not what this country is all about. Our economic freedom is being taken away from us. This election is about freedom. It's about our economic freedom. It's about our freedom of conscience, our freedom of faith. You've heard about the HHS attempt to tell the Catholic Church what it should or should not do, including things that go against the beliefs of the Catholic Church. They would like to tell you what kind of products you should buy, what kind of health insurance, and they'll give you a tax. Now they're going to call it a tax if you don't buy it. 15 unelected individuals will be sitting on this panel if we don't defeat Obamacare in this election. That's the way we've got to defeat it. Telling you what kind of health care and what kind of procedures you can get afterwards. They're going to determine, Dunn, whether you're maybe a little too old to get that hip replaced, you know, and Chris, your life expectation is really not so great, and you know, you don't need to get that heart transplant, and on and on and on. They will make those kind of medical decisions for you instead of you making them with your own. And we've got to change that, and I'm hoping that the first vote that I cast as your representative in Congress next January will be repeal Obamacare.